Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pitch to Purchase podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Raebel, the founder and the Chief Revenue Officer of Raebel Marketing. Now, why Pitch to Purchase? What's with the name? We talk about everything here that goes everything from your first pitch to when they actually purchase and everything in between and why it's important. Today, we're going to be talking about why business owners and business professionals need to understand the basics of marketing. Because once you understand the basics of marketing, your ROI is better, your leads are better, and your revenue and profit margins are going to be higher, period. End of sentence. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So I have 5 points I'm going to talk about today about what they are and then some statistics to back it up. Now, usually during my podcast, I'll also do a WTF moment, but that's actually going to come when I do an interview in a little bit with my friends, Skip and Emma from Paragon Marketing Group. I have this WTF moment. You'll see it. You gotta stick to the end to watch the interview, but it's pretty funny. So the other thing that I usually like to do is I like to do a quote. I'm not going to do one today because there's enough statistics and these kinds of things that what I want to do at the end is I want you to go, okay, Lisa, I get it. Let me figure out what it is about all these 5 things that I need to know about my own business. Because the bottom line is these 5 things are literally about your own business. They're not always marketing strategies or understanding marketing and how it works. That's my job. That's the marketing agency's job. Your job is to understand why it applies to your business. So before we get too much farther, let's get started. So the first thing I always start with, always start with when it comes to either developing your pitch or doing the strategy is why do you exist in the first place? Why do you exist? Why did you start your business? Why did you pick the industry that you work for? Why are you in sales selling ABC for XYZ company? There's a reason behind it, whether you think there is or not. And that's your story. That's your origin story of why that's happening. But for you business owners out there, sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget. We get so busy doing the day-to-day that we forget why we opened our doors in the first place. Why did you start this business? What was it about it that made you start the business? My origin story starts with, I'm a terrible employee. I am. Because I tell the truth. I tell my bosses when I think something's not going to work, even though they tell me to do it anyway. And so for me, it's like I got so sick of the rat race and the corporate America BS because I knew there was a better way to do marketing versus just do what I say, not what I do. And then I'm going to blame you anyway for when it doesn't work. Okay, it's not a therapy session. I get it. But what I want to make sure is that you understand is you have an origin story. And I found some statistics. And here is one from Deloitte. And what it says is companies with a clearly defined brand purpose grow 2 times the rate of those without. Now, I trust Deloitte. They do great analysis and they do great surveys. 2 times. When you understand why you're there and you understand your origin story and the purpose behind what you do, not for your customers as much, but for you and your team. I had a client that we created his origin story because he kind of forgot why he was in business in the first place. He shared it with his leadership team and they were like, thank you. I mean, they felt more connected, not only to the business owner, but to the business themselves. And it shifted a whole lot of things that happened in that business. So the number one thing that I want you to understand about marketing is understanding your origin story, understanding your why you started the business in the first place, why you're in the profession that you're in the first place. Now, the second thing that I want to do is I want to talk about your who. I do a speaking event called Defining Your Ideal Client, and I'm sure a million other consultants do the same one, the same topic at least. But for me, understanding who you're talking to is such a major point of why marketing works and you get a higher ROI that I can't even tell you how important it is. It is like the second most important thing I think that you need to know about your marketing. Now, one of the things that people usually talk about is like, I know who my client is. They, this is their revenue or their or their annual income if it's a personal family that's your client, or this is where they live, or this is the industry that they are, blah, 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 blah. All the demographics, all the things that are trackable, the title that somebody has. That's only half the story. And if you ask my opinion, it's less than half. Because the psychographics of why they buy is one of the most important things about understanding who your ideal customer is. So now that you know why you need a client, we all know why we need clients, right? Why you're in business in the first place and who your client is. Now, the statistic that I have is from HubSpot. It says only 42% of marketers know their audience's basic demographic info, which means more than half of you are guessing at it. And in this HubSpot spot, it's about marketing people, but it's also about people who do marketing within an organization. It's not about agencies as much as it is about people that are marketing professionals within an organization that work for that organization. So half of you are guessing at it in the first place. Boo, that's bad. That's bad business. Not only that, but if you don't know who you're marketing to, you're marketing in places you have no idea if they're hanging out there or not. Knowing who they are and why they buy gives you the direction of where to put your marketing, and it also gives you the direction of what to say. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about is the emotional part of it, how your clients feel. Now, a client feels one way before they work with you, and then when you solve their problem, fill the gap, provide a solution, do whatever it is that you do, they feel a different way. Usually this is a negative emotion. You solve a problem and it's a positive emotion. Now, emotion is a massively important thing to understand because most marketing talks about features and benefits, or this is the service I sell and you should buy from me because I have so much experience, or I have this many certifications, or I've got an MBA, or blah, blah, blah. Honestly, most clients, not all, but most clients don't care. They want to know, can you solve my problem? Can you do it in a time frame that is helpful to me? And can you do it in a budget that I can afford? That's what they want to know. And the statistic that goes with this is that emotions drive 95% of purchasing decisions. And that's from the Harvard Business School. Harvard, 95. I'm not making this stuff up. This is just Lisa's opinion about marketing. 95% of the business decisions that are made, the purchasing decisions that are made, are based on emotions. And that emotion comes from, are you going to be able to solve the problem that I have? And am I going to have a more positive emotion on the other side of this? The other part of that equation is not only just the emotion, but what are they fearing? What's the fear that they have, the reason that they're buying from you in the first place? Most decisions are based out of fear. Most decisions, not to buy something, but decisions are based on fear. That includes the decision to not do something. So, for the third thing I need you to understand is the emotions and the fears that are attached to the buying decisions that your customers are having. So now we know your origin story of why you started this business. We talked about who you're selling to and what their fears and emotions are in that buying decision. Understanding that, those are the top three things. The fourth thing that I want you to know today is that if it doesn't align with your sales, you're throwing away. You're literally throwing away opportunities. And you're creating friction within your own organization as well. See, what happens a lot of times, and this is a hill I will die on, is that sales and marketing are no longer departments. They're everybody's responsibility because everybody in your organization touches revenue somehow. Everyone. Every single solitary person in your organization affects revenue and touches it in one way or another. Now, they could be working directly with your customers, or they could be working with their internal customers, department to department. And if departments aren't getting along in an organization, What do you think that does to the client experience? It's not good. I can't tell you how many times I've literally, maybe this is a WTF moment, literally heard a marketing person say to a salesperson, you didn't follow up on that lead. And then I heard a salesperson say to a marketing person, your leads are terrible. Why would I follow up in the first place? Friction. You're supposed to be working together. Maybe that is my WTF moment. Oh, I could go on and on about that, but I won't. My point is your sales and marketing need to align, and that everybody in your organization touches revenue at some point in time in what they do. So that alignment needs to be not only just between sales and marketing, but it needs to be company-wide, because nothing will kill a sale more than marketing says this and sales says something completely different. And the customer's going, what? I can't trust you. I can't trust your organization because you guys aren't talking the same language. You're not saying the same thing. You're not making the same promises. You got to have sales and marketing alignment. You got to have company-wide alignment. And the statistic that I found for this is from Marketing Profs. Oh, love Marketing Profs. Companies with strong marketing sales alignment see 36% higher customer retention and 38% higher win rates. What would you do if you had 36% more retention? What would you do if you had 36% higher retention in your current customers? You weren't constantly trying to find new customers. And what would happen if you could close 38% more sales? What would happen to your business if you could do that? And the key to that is the alignment between sales, marketing, and all of the people in your organization. And there's a way to fix that if that's a problem. Call me. I have a solution. Shameless plug. That's number 4. Last but not least, every role in your organization touches revenue, whether you want to admit that or not. Now, I went through that part of it in number 4, but what I really want to do is make sure that you understand that from the first time somebody makes a phone call, how that person answered the phone. I have a perfect example of this. I have a client who, when one person answers, it's like very joyful and like, hey, how can I help? And when a different person in the organization answers the phone, it's more like, you're bugging me. Why are you calling me? They're not saying that obviously, but that's the attitude that you get. Believe me, because when I call this customer, I've gotten different people answering the phones, and I've had to coach them on it really matters how you answer the phone. You might think it's just a task that you're checking off, but it matters. Your customer matters. So like it doesn't matter how big or small their role is in the organization, their role touches it. This is an example, and this is a real example that I have. I had a client who I was there that day, and the maintenance people didn't, or the cleaning people didn't clean the bathroom. And he comes out and he's all grumpy and upset, and he's one of the C-suite people. And he comes in, he sits down, and he's all pissy and he's all frustrated and stuff like that. And he just starts like going off about it. And I just sat there and I listened. And I said, do you understand the ripple effect of what that one tiny thing is? The bathroom wasn't clean, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a ripple effect, because the person who uses it gets frustrated. They're walking out, they're getting frustrated with their coworkers, and their coworkers are getting frustrated because that person is grumpy, and then they answer the phone. Like, it seems like something minor, but I literally saw it happen in front of my eyes. And so every role touches revenue. There's a ripple effect in there. Those are just a couple of different examples. But it's not a marketing problem. It's a clarity problem. Because if you don't truly understand, or your team doesn't truly understand how their role affects revenue, they're not going to understand what's affecting it. Now, this is a story that I've talked about before, and this is when I was in leadership development, and I love this story. The president of the organization that I worked for, she was visiting a client, and they did medical products. And so a lot of the times they hire for the line because it's very repetitive work, because it's a lot of hand hand mechanics that need to happen to like put like test tubes into corrugated boxes and things like that. And so they hire people with autism because they're very good at that. They're very focused. They love what they do. And so this young lady who was working the line, when she said, "So what is your job?" She goes, "My job isn't to put test tubes into corrugated boxes. My job is to save babies' lives." It's a totally different shift. Her role is not about putting these glass test tubes into corrugated boxes so they don't break in shipment. Her role is, she saw a bigger role in that. And that's what happens when your people understand what their role is in the organization. Now I could go on and on about this for a very long time, but I just wanted you to understand that when people understand their role, conversations get better, opportunities don't get missed, and revenue doesn't get lost because there's no alignment and people don't understand their roles. Because it's about the entire company communicating the values, but they have to know what those values are in the first place to be able to communicate them effectively. Because confusion costs money and clarity converts. That's this part of the podcast. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to introduce you to my good friends Skip and Emma at Paragon Marketing Group. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why it is so important for business owners and professionals to understand the basics of marketing. Enjoy. Thank you. I am so excited to announce my very first guest on the Pitch to Purchase podcast. I am going to introduce Skip and Emma of Paragon Marketing Group right here in the beautiful Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Well, not today. It's March and it's snowy and gross outside. But
yeah, thank you.
So what I do is I do a strategy session for a client, I call on these guys to help me implement what we decide. So like when there's gaps in your strategy, it could be your website is, off, or it could be your SEO is off, could be you need video or photography or whatever the case might be. These are my people. And I love these people because they make me look good. That's what I like
We love
about
you too, dear. We love working with you, Lisa.
So tell my listeners a little bit about like what you guys do and any fun facts about Paragon Marketing Group.
Well, fun fact is this is our 10th year as Paragon Marketing Group. Thank you. It actually started off as Paragon Media Group, where we just did video, primarily video. And then I started to learn websites and then added all kinds of different things in. And the next thing you know, I need to become a marketing company. So rebranded it in 2016. And this lovely lady here joined me right out of the gate. And has been the other half of my brain ever since.
Scary.
Yeah, that is. She just finished my thought. But no, it's not uncommon. But
it's not uncommon. I've worked with you guys long enough. It's not uncommon.
It's not. But yeah, at Paragon, we do everything from, like website work to social media management, video production. We procure radio slots and connected TV, graphic design. I mean, the only thing I really haven't, I'm going to say it. The only thing I really haven't done is I have not flown a banner behind a plane.
So help him make that happen, please.
We've ruled out, I say it all the time. We've ruled out the hot air balloons. It costs too much to make it. So we got to go with the banner.
Oh my gosh. Just to ride on a hot air balloon is like ridiculous expensive these days.
But to make the hot air balloon with your logo on the side, way out of the budget.
He really
I can't even imagine.
But
I wanted my face on it to fly over Lake Country, but that was just too much.
I can only imagine what that would be.
It would be great.
It would be great. Yes. Okay. A banner behind a plane. That's what we're going for?
That's what I'm going for. 2026. If I could get it, it'd be great. I have an opportunity.
Really?
In Florida. Yeah, we make it the opportunity. We'll see.
That's
they weren't
very,
supposed
very cool.
to it at all.
This is really loose. They weren't opposed to it. I don't know if that means that we have the opportunity, but
I have a percentage behind
opportunity or it's supposed to. Yeah.
I'm in the 10% range. It's a possibility.
I know. I don't spend a lot of time on Bradford Beach anymore. That was like my younger days. But
Right.
the planes that went by with all like the advertisements and stuff on it is just, it's every 5 minutes it was a different banner.
Never done it.
These people are on the coast of Florida, so there's probably a better chance than here in Wisconsin.
It's possible.
Probably a wider range of time we can do it.
A little bit.
So, all right. So I have been on their podcast called the Mainstream Marketing Podcast a couple of times, and they're very, very nice. They send me the questions ahead of time. I'm not that nice. So
No.
I'm just going to ask them questions. So as we've been talking about this entire podcast, it's about when business owners understand marketing basics, you get better ROI from your marketing,
Mm-hmm.
period. End of
Yep.
sentence.
Yep.
That's all. That's
No,
what we've
no
been talking
argument
about this
whatsoever.
entire
Great
time.
question.
So, all right, I'm going to ask these guys questions and this is going to back up everything I've been saying so far. Ready? I wrote down some questions for you guys because
Got it.
my memory sucks. What are some red flags that a business isn't ready to invest in marketing yet?
They don't. Well, first off, one of the things is they don't understand who their target audience is and where they want to go and where they're going to be.
Yep.
There's so many times where we see it all the time, where it's a shotgun approach. We just talked about this morning.
Yeah.
Where it's everybody's a customer, no matter who they are.
Okay.
I need to make money.
Yeah.
And in the long run, what we've found, and I'm sure we've run across this before, is that they don't understand what things to use to get to the people. First, they don't know who they really are going after, but then they don't understand what to use in order to get there.
Right.
And they need everything. And they need it now, and they need a lot of it. And it's not always the right approach.
Right.
I think the other biggest thing too is not knowing what their business goals are, which directly translates into the campaign. So, like, we always face people that we're running an awareness ad because that's what we talked about. Yet they're measuring the amount of leads that they're getting, but that's not the type of campaign we're running. So, knowing what the goals are to then analyze the data.
Yeah, exactly. And if you only want to, you only want to use marketing just to make more money, that is a red flag to me because they're not invested in their customers. They're not invested in the people that they work for them. They're not invested in everything else besides the bottom line. And that's a red flag for me.
And I think one of the big red flags that comes out of it is when they're coming into it, even if they don't know who they're going to and how they're going to get to it, if they're using the right tools, is they expect an instantaneous, immediate return too.
Yes.
That's just not logical. And it's not a reality. I mean, sure, you can get results, but it's not going to be like, I always kid at these guys and say, I made a video and said, I'm going to go viral. I say that all the time. They're like, viral to me is 100, but I mean, but to them, it's just, but to some people, they say they think they're going to make their half their year's revenue they expect. I'm like, it's just not realistic.
Well, and quite honestly, a lot of businesses, you'd hope that the video doesn't go viral because then it pinpoints them to that one thing that they do, and they might do 20 things. But if that one thing goes viral, then they're only going to be known for that one thing. I mean, that's fine for like a soda pop or a beer or something that is like, it's just one thing. But in some businesses, that's not good.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. Love the answers. What's something you wish every client understood before they invested in marketing?
That consistency is so important. The number of people that they want to try something and then they move on to the new shiny object and they're going from one to the next and then they're wasting their budget because it's not going to work. So consistency is so key.
And again, that just ties back to my last answer is realistic expectations. And that it's a marathon, it's not a race.
I think the other aspect too is it's such a collaborative process, right? Like we're here to help them, but also at the end of the day, it's their business and they have all these internal processes that have to be working in order for the marketing to work. So it's not just like, yep, flip the switch, go run the marketing and we'll talk to you later, see you in a year. Like it is such a collaborative process to work with someone on their marketing.
Yeah, especially because things shift. The economy shifts and wars start and pandemics happen and, it just things happen all the time. And it's always one of those you have to keep, pivoting, drink, if you know, you know. And so you have to keep adjusting your marketing. You can't just, and not only that, what I love about what you said about the internal processes is that when you run a marketing campaign and then there's a bunch of leads and they're not ready internally to take those leads or do the production of the orders or something like that, then it's an epic fail and it's not on the marketing, it's on the, like you said, internal processes. You have to be ready for when those leads come in or when those orders come in to be able to fulfill the orders.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I love that.
Exactly.
Great
And,
answer.
we talk about this too, is to, and when you, and as part of this process, ask how ask, how did you find us? Where did you first see us? I mean, sure, they could have come to your website, but did they first see you on Facebook? Did they see you at a networking event?
So
In
simple.
order, yeah. But so many business owners, that one question, hey, how did you learn about us, or where did you find us? They forget to ask that. And so how are you supposed, how are you going to measure your ROI if you're not going to know where they came from?
Yeah, exactly. I literally just did this with an entire customer over the last 2 days. Took us hours to go through every one of their customers that they've had since the beginning of 2023 and ask them where they found them. How did they
Mhm.
get them? Because for me, I want to do a referral campaign. And if they got a lot of customers from a specific referral base, I want to be sure that schmooze that referral base and make sure that
Yeah.
that's working. So it's not just about the marketing, it's the interpersonal relationships with those
Mhm.
strategic partners you have out there,
For sure.
making sure that they're
Absolutely.
taken care of as well.
Gold mine.
Okay, that seems like it could be an entire podcast topic of itself.
Yeah, really good.
Okay, we're moving on. From your perspective, what's the difference between a client who gets great results from their marketing efforts and those who don't?
I think it's people that are invested and they care. Like not money wise, but I mean, if the business, they're just doing this because they know they need to, but they don't care how it's like being done. They don't want to participate in what the messaging is or talk about ideas. The people that don't care about their marketing, that directly influences sales.
It's the people that, like, I agree with your statement. I was going to go there, but I was doing it in a different way. But it is people that really care about where they're going, and take it, that really have an active interest, not active interest, but have a passion for what they're doing and a passion for where they're going to go, and throw that passion into their marketing.
Right? Because
That's
we can help them tell that story of their passion, but if it's just a job and they don't care how they're
Yeah.
different than anybody else, it's hard to tie emotion to their marketing when they personally don't have any emotion about their business.
Oh, I love that. I talk about that too all the time. Like how emotion in your marketing is the connector between the words and the understanding of what your marketing is all about. So absolutely love that. And I also find that the people who are more involved and more passionate about what they do, they're the ones who actually respond to our emails when we're asking for content or
yeah,
approval of something. Like if you send a newsletter out, say, hey, here's a newsletter that we wrote. What do you think? Is it accurate? Especially in industries like the ones that we work right now together on is, a CPA firm. There's a lot of laws and words that like
yeah.
marketing people are not experts at, but the client has to read it and make sure that it's accurate because if you send that out and it's inaccurate, that's not good. And people who have deadlines like, oh, by April 1st, I want my website, but they haven't sent you any contact or photos or any content or anything like that too. So I think people who are really passionate and want to differentiate themselves are going to be the easiest ones to work with and have the best results in the market.
You can see the difference in their. You can put two businesses side by side together, and one that has a passion, and one that doesn't. They could be in the same market in the same city, and you can tell the difference from what's being output, like in or in graphics or in video or content from one to the other. And as a consumer, it's going to make a difference in that person's, who's going to get the sale versus the other one. I
Right.
mean, the
Am I getting
people that
treated
have
like a number or a human?
yeah, yeah. And I think,
Yeah.
from the people that we've worked with that are really ingrained in it, and they're like in deep into their marketing, what we create is just, it's leaps and bounds above
I
other
think the
things.
other aspect too, though, is the trust. Like we want people that are
Yeah,
involved, but also that they trust that like their business is their area of
yeah.
expertise and marketing is our area of expertise, and there's a balance there. And we're always willing to try new things and bounce ideas and take what they give us, but there has to be trust to trial things and see how it goes.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Because marketing is not an exact science. And I think
Mm,
people think that if I spent $100,000, I'm going to get, exactly that back and I can track every single penny. Where a lot of times you don't know who saw the billboard or who read the magazine article or,
mhm.
who didn't engage with you, but they read the things that you have online. I mean, sometimes it's hard to understand exactly all the points that led you to that one point where they finally picked up the phone to call you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Where do you see business waste the most money in marketing?
Do you want to start with this one?
See, I'm not nice. I did not give them these questions ahead of time.
I see a lot of okay. I'm going to formulate mine. I see a lot of people just when they come to us, not necessarily when they're with us, when they come to us, they're experts in everything, and they work on marketing for 2 hours a day, from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, and now they've wasted thousands of dollars because they try to be something that they're not, and understand something that they don't dive in all day long. I couldn't become a heart surgeon, and you wouldn't want me with a knife. But it's just with regards to you trying to be something that you're not, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars and be no better where you were than when you started.
Yeah. To piggyback off what you just said, Skip, though, it's the aspect of, I see people wasting it because it worked for somebody else, but that somebody else is not even in their industry or has the same target market or anything like that, right?
Absolutely.
They waste money because they think because it worked for, ABC company, it's going to work for, XYZ company, even though like they're totally not even in the same industry.
Shiny corner theory.
Right. I think we see so many people that, especially when they're at the very beginning of their business and they're trying to do things on their own, maybe because their budget is smaller. At the end of the day, they're purchasing this tool to make it happen, and this tool, and all these tools that are adding up. There's so much overlap. They're not what's best for them. They're not functioning as they should. And in reality, they're spending more money at the beginning trying to make it work themselves than they would have had they just found some experts to work with.
I was going to say, and that's why when people come to us, how many times have you sat with a prospect and they're just already angry because they wasted all this time and money, and they're like, marketing doesn't work because they tried to do it themselves, or they didn't hire the right people, or they didn't understand who their client was and all the other stuff. And I think that's a lot of times, that's my biggest obstacle a lot of times with people that I'm trying to work with, is that they already have a preconceived idea that marketing doesn't work because they did it different than what a true strategy would bring about.
Or yes, exactly. Or whoever was doing something with them before painted completely unrealistic expectations and made promises that they were not going to be able to fulfill.
Or they just took the money and then didn't do anything. That's a sad story I've heard 2 or 3 times recently.
I did not say that.
I know, but that's what happened, is that they pay these marketing agencies in like a different country or even a different state.
Yeah.
And then they never hear back from them. And yet they're for some reason, their credit card gets charged anyway, sorry. That just literally just happened in a prospect that I was talking to, and they were all pissy and as they should be. But at the same time, it's like, okay, so let's figure out not to do that again.
Right on.
How does a client's understanding of marketing basics change the way they make decisions about spending money on marketing?
I think it can help prioritize because marketing isn't always do everything at one time. It can help them prioritize based on their business, what aspects are going to help them reach their goals, and what needs to be done before other pieces.
And I think it makes it more enjoyable.
I love that answer. I love that answer.
If they understand something, I mean, it's going to make the journey, whether it's not going to be a perfect journey, there's no two ways around it, but it will make it much more enjoyable, much more palatable, I guess, maybe too.
Not as stressful.
Yeah, not as stressful. And I think a lot of times when people do understand it, in my opinion, I think in some people that we've worked with in the past and currently, is that when they understand it and they get it and they know how it works and how it all ties together, they become more open and more creative.
Naturally, 100%.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, exactly. Because
they're not getting in their own way. I guess that's the best.
That's really the answer. They're not in there. They get themselves out of their way because we say, well, you run your business, we'll run your marketing. We'll run your business and you run your marketing. No, so we
in a leprechaun uniform. Anyway, go on.
I kind of figured that was coming in there. But in any event, but it doesn't make it more enjoyable. We have
Yes.
clients that have been with us for years. They say, I don't, you guys take care of it, but I got some ideas and I know I can bounce them off with you, good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to tell me that. And it just makes it more easy to run your business and you enjoy it more, I think.
Yeah, I know that a customer that we've worked with together in the past, they wanted to do this huge social media campaign, but they had no like real website to point anything to. And it was kind of like, well, we can run a social media campaign and email campaign, but you've got no place to send them. And there's
Mm-hmm.
no reason to spend a lot of time and money on those kinds of campaigns if you've got no call to action that you can lead them to get you more leads. And
Mm-hmm.
so, it was that whole concept you said before about a client who wants to run a brand awareness, but they're like, where are my leads? And it's like, okay, that's a different campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So it is the priority is the best way to talk about that, because once you understand where those gaps are, you fix the biggest gaps first. And then like, what does that look like? Why run an email campaign if I've got no place to send somebody to? You could spend a lot of money on brand awareness, but if you don't give them something to do after that, then that's just a whole lot of wasted time and money.
My favorite is let's run a campaign, but we're rebranding and our logo's not done yet.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
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 Okay. So the
And that's
bottom
when we say,
line with this,
maybe talk with Lisa and get your whole everything set up, And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like, okay.
wow. Okay, that one threw me for a bit of a loop there.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah, made my marketing brain go,
Yeah,
okay.
you're screaming inside.
So you've heard from three marketing experts about why understanding the marketing basics is extremely important to get the ROI you want and get the results that you want and increase your revenue and have marketing be the catalyst to get those people in front of you. So thank you very much, Skip and Emma. I always love our conversations. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to threaten you with the podcast that Skip and I had been talking about, but would involve alcohol. So we're probably going to avoid that one.
Don't think
But
so.
anyway. So thank you very much for being on the Pitch to Purchase podcast. I truly love our relationship as far as businesses are concerned and just being friends. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for being on.
Right. Thanks, Blake. Yep.
Thank you so much for joining me today on episode 3 of the Pitch to Purchase podcast, talking about why business owners and professionals need to understand the basics of marketing to get better ROI and results from your marketing efforts. Next time, we're going to be talking about the revenue reality of marketing and how it affects your bottom line. So stay tuned for next month's episode. I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, it's time to level up and maybe raise a little hell. Cheers.